back to TV Toastmasters. Tonight, we're talking about organizing your life so that you have a strong strategic picture of what you have. And we're going to be talking with a gentleman who's developed a really kind of nice little means of compiling your life so you can work with others in achieving your goals and also helping others to understand where your life is. I'm joined tonight by Ben James, who is the head of Elevate Wealth Advisors. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, first tell us, what is Elevate Wealth Advisors?
So Elevate Wealth Advisors is a group of team members that get together and work as a team to help our clients accomplish their financial goals. So primarily, we're a broker-dealer. We manage money for people. But we also have, there's 2 certified financial planners and a certified or chartered financial analyst on staff. So we bring a lot of expertise in managing money, but then helping people understand the purpose of money.
Okay. So you talk about helping people manage their money and their lives and also to achieve their goals. So along that, you have developed something called the playbook.
The playbook.
Tell us what the playbook is.
Oh man, the playbook came as a kind of a culmination of 20 years of working in this business and having an understanding of what clients are really looking for. They're looking for a way to organize all the financial stuff that comes into their household. And then they're looking for a way to understand it. And then they're looking for a method to manage that. So we, from our clients that have something similar, we created our own kind of prototype playbook. And it's a binder that is going to help our clients encompass all of their financial disciplines in one spot. And so it's kind of our corporate colors. It's bright blue.
Oh, there we go. Take a picture of it. There we are.
The playbook.
That's the playbook.
Yep.
And it's the playbook right there. There we go. So I can't miss that. And the great blue because it stands out. So.
Yep. Very bright. So we've got it subdivided into 8 different sections. In one of the sections,
that might be there.
right up front is goals and objectives and projections. And I was kind of joking earlier about if you don't write your goals down and you know this, your chances of accomplishing them aren't that great. And so the first thing that we do with our clients is we go through and we say, okay, well, what do you want to accomplish? What does 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road look like for you? Do you want to, pass on your assets? Do you want to spend them all? Do you want to avoid probate? Do you want to have the right insurance? And so we help our clients really decide what they're looking for in good financial advice. And then we go through and we articulate and draft that for them in a manner that communicates to them that we are really listening to them and we understand what they're looking for. And then once they've got it written down, it serves as a place for them to go back to over and over again and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And it kind of reminds them of why they got to be doing the things that they're doing now.
Okay. So what kind of things go into a playbook?
So there's, if you think about the disciplines of financial planning, one is estate planning. So, inside a playbook, we'll have copies of clients' trust or wills or powers of attorneys. Then there's also insurance review. So we can't live without insurance, unfortunately. We have to have insurance on our automobiles, on our house, sometimes our life, sometimes long-term and care insurance. So we'll house all that stuff there as well. There's also I would say the cornerstone of financial planning is, the balance sheet and the income statement. So part of what we do for our clients is we prepare their net worth statement or balance sheet and income statement, and that always goes inside the playbook as well.
Okay, good. So let's talk about 2 for your clients when they pass on. What's the benefit of having a playbook after you've gone to meet your maker? Yeah,
thanks for asking that. So one of the ideas with the playbook, and we didn't want to call it the death book, but it can be.
You can't sell that.
That's not good marketing. But one of our clients had this idea that she was really passionate about making sure that her household finances were very organized for her kids. And one of our biggest fears was, when I pass away, my kids are going to have all this stuff to wade through and go through, and I want to make it really easy for them. And so what we did with the playbook is we said, okay, we're going to help you organize all of your stuff ahead of time. So when that happens, and a long ways down the road, God willing, when you pass away, your kids will be able to go to the playbook. They can open it up, and on the very first page, there's a list of all the professionals that they need to contact. And then those professionals are kind of like team members or team players, and they're going to handle everything going forward from that point. So,
I can imagine that's the value of that, because having gone through having to wrap up my own parents' estate, what a hassle it was having to dig out documents, and also who do I have to contact? So I'm sure you've heard some horror stories.
Oh, certainly. Over the years, we've had clients whose relatives will pass away, and they'll dig through the filing cabinets and have file folders after file folders of statements that go back, decades ago, and that are worthless or worthless stock certificates. And we'll spend all this energy, kind of researching, trying to figure out if it's still of value. And typically, it's not. You run into a dead end. But the organizer allows people to get rid of the stuff that isn't important and focus on the stuff that is important and meaningful, not only for them, but then for their beneficiaries as well.
So you're providing that guidance, that advisory piece, like here are the documents that your next of kin need to have.
Absolutely, yeah.
Pass away.
Yeah, and having that will or the trust or even while you're living, having that power of attorney, right, accessible where they can get to it when they need it. The other thing I'd mention too is, so this is kind of our brainchild, but it really came from working with a bunch of clients and hearing what their needs were and then trying to figure out how to get it all together in one spot. And what we really benefited from, we rolled this out fourth quarter of last year, and the response that we got from people who really got it, they would say, wow, this is great. I'm finally going to get all of my stuff organized. I'm going to have all my I's dotted and my T's crossed. And it allowed us as financial practitioners to really get a deeper understanding of what their financial needs are, and so we can give them better advice. So we'd have clients that would say, hey, should I refinance or should I sell this or do that? We can go over to the tax section and look at, well, how much capital gains did you pay? Do you have any losses to offset that? So we can give them better advice from our side. So it's maybe even selfish that we're doing this for our clients. Well, not selfish, but yeah.
Well, you're providing a service.
A service,
right?
Yeah.
That's why you're providing value.
Yep.
That's why people come to you.
That's right.
Get it.
Yep.
Okay. So what are some of the most common things that people overlook that belong in their playbook?
Oh, I'd say without a doubt, when you ask most people, do you have a will? Probably 9 out of 10 people will say, oh, I've been meaning to get to that. And then if you go further, you say, well, what do you think a will does? What is the purpose of a will? And they would say, oh, it's to avoid probate. When probably the opposite is true. A will is a doctrine that is set up to guide the probate process. And so if you have a will and you're relying on the will, what you're really saying is that I want to have my assets probated, and this is the set of instructions that's going to go before that probate judge to determine what happens with it. When in reality, if you put a careful, thoughtful plan together and you say, hey, I want to avoid probate, as long as you have beneficiary designations on all of your assets, you really don't need a will. But so the will aside, some people need them, especially if you have minor children, but the next big one is probably that power of attorney. So while my wife and I would have an easy transition monetarily if one of us passed away. That's easy to understand. But if I'm in a coma and my wife can't access my IRA account or my 401k account, it puts her in a bad position. So having that power of attorney set up ahead of time, it's kind of like we've planned for death, but let's also plan for what happens when we're living.
So these are a lot of things that people don't think about. It's almost like a garage door repair. You don't think about your garage door until the day it stops working, right?
That's right.
So, you don't think about these issues until after you're gone.
That's right.
We're having to deal with it.
Yeah, and I was kind of the guinea pig going through this. We created the playbook. We spent 8 or 9 months kind of developing it, pulling all of our knowledge together, and then last year I said, okay, I'm going to do one for myself. So I went through all the steps, and one of the things that I noticed on a bunch of my accounts is I didn't have my third boy listed as contingent beneficiary, and he was 5 years old at the time. So somehow in the last 5 years, life got so busy that I wasn't able to update my beneficiary designations. So it helped me realize that part of this book is making sure that you've got a process to manage what you've got going already. So it really does help you kind of dot the I's and cross the T's.
Okay. So for your clients, how often do you recommend they come in for like a checkup to look at their playbook, make sure it's still? Is it once a year, or is it?
I mean, annually is great, and if somebody's got a lot of complicated needs, it could be more often. But realistically, this shouldn't be a labor. It ought to be something that is easy to maintain. So I've gotten to the point now where everything that comes through my door that is financially related, I know that it goes in my playbook, and I can get rid of the old statements typically, and I can do that for a year, and then I can go in and talk to my financial advisor, and he can say, hey, let's do a checkup and let's see how you're doing.
Okay. So let me ask a question. Why did you get into this field? Why? It's a personal question.
Oh man, that's I guess dumb luck. So, I mean, going through college, got stirred into finance, just having somewhat of a brain for math. Ended up getting a business degree. I found, this was back in the day when internships were posted on a board with a pen and a piece of paper, you know, so I grabbed the paper down and met a financial advisor that was looking for an intern, and that was 22 years ago. And I worked for him for several years, and then got licensed and ended up taking over his practice at some point. And it's been great because I love people, and so I am blessed to meet a lot of wonderful people in this business.
Right. And having been to your office, you have this great view out your front, looking
right by the elevator.
Right by the elevator here in Oregon City. That's fantastic. So if somebody wants to get in contact with, how do they find out more about Elevate Wealth?
Sure. So we've got a website, as everybody does. Ours is elevate615.com. Our phone number 503-607-0809. And of course, as you mentioned, we are right literally at the top of the elevator in Oregon City. So just head up the elevator and come see us. That'd
be fantastic. So, okay. Well, Ben, James, thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure, Michael.
I appreciate it. So, once again, let me bring it up. It's the playbook. It's the playbook, which is like a brilliant, almost, it doesn't match my shirt, but it's brilliant. And the idea about putting everything in one place, you know, is something that I need to do as well.
Let's work on it together.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right. Well, once again, thanks, Ben, James, for joining us tonight from Elevate Wealth, talking about really getting your affairs into a nice, concise place, one stop where all your stuff is. So once again, I am Michael Brand. Let's get to work.
I joined Toastmasters to improve my speaking, listening, communication, and leadership skills.
Toastmasters gave me incredible confidence.
Confidence.
Confidence. Great listening skills.
Poise.
Great leadership skills. Leadership skills.
The ability to speak in public.
Strength. A captive audience.
Quality feedback from the more experienced Toastmasters.
Toastmasters really helped me improve my listening skills.
Sales skills.
Opportunities to go to different groups and widen my whole horizon.
Toastmasters has given me a more focused me, and I'm a much better listener. Toastmasters is fulfilling.
It's a great place to fail your way to success.
Wonderful way to meet people.
Networking. Strength. It's addictive.
It's a club of self-improvement.
It's an experience, it's a ride that you won't forget, and you'll enjoy it every step of the way.
Toastmasters helped me land a kick-butt job. I sang at one of my table topic speeches, and people liked it and applauded.
My business is doing great, and I'm very, very grateful to Toastmasters.
It's been a great experience for me.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmasters, for giving me so much confidence.
Thank you, Toastmasters, for everything.
Welcome back to TV Toastmasters. Tonight, we're going to be talking about assisted living. As we speak, America is getting older, and the demands and the needs for our senior citizens are growing exponentially. So that's why tonight I'm really happy to have with us Kathleen Vandeneder of Gilman Park Assisted Living right here in Oregon City. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank you.
So,
good to be here.
Yeah. So assisted living, let's start there, talk with that. There's a whole range of options for care. What is assisted living and where does it fit into that?
Well, assisted living basically is when you need a little bit of care management for your meds, maybe a little bit of help getting dressed, a little bit of help here and there. And it's different from the independent because basically independent, you're still doing everything for yourself. Here, we help as much as the resident needs. So what happens is they do a care plan, and that's where they decide, okay, can you comb your own hair? Do you want somebody to comb it? Do you want help getting dressed? Do you want help getting out of bed? So basically, it's just your ADLs, basically, you know.
ADLs are activities of daily living, right? I remember that.
Yes. Oh dear. Yes, sorry. Yes. You know, and so basically what happens is a lot of times people wait too long to go into independent, and they don't need the nursing homes yet or the rehab facilities yet, but they need assisted living. So basically it's trying to stay as independent as possible, but with a little bit of help.
Okay, so we're talking about people who can't live independently
Right.
on their own,
Right.
but they don't need full-time care. They just need a little assistance with different parts of their life so they can remain relatively independent
Yes.
within a place like Gilman Park. So tell us about Gilman Park.
Oh, Gilman Park's awesome. We have a great staff there. I mean, I've had the opportunity to watch our care staff in action, and they're so conscientious about what the residents need. And the atmosphere, the thing I like about it is when you walk in, you feel no tension. It's just safe and peaceful. And I really like that because, and you see happy residents because they're cared for, you know, and it's like, I know we use love loosely, but with seniors, that's what they want to feel. They want to feel love and they want to feel at home. So we encourage them to bring their, you know, pictures and as much things as they want to make them feel at home. And Gilman Park's just, I don't know, I have worked in several different buildings over the years, different companies, and I drive an hour to work and I love it. It's amazing. The care staff works together. The management team doesn't just stand aside and say, well, that's not my department. We all jump in and help each other. And it's a really awesome place to live and work.
Okay. So I know from my experience working in universities and how dorm life has changed.
Yes.
Where all of a sudden there's a heck of a lot more amenities.
Yes.
Let's talk about the transition in the last couple decades for senior living from what used to be the old age home to now being more retirement communities or assisted living communities. Tell us more about the culture of that and what's some of the trends that seniors are demanding.
Yeah, so a lot of them still aren't, we have the mix of the technology because we don't have the baby boomers in there yet. You know, they're still probably 20 years out before they're actually in the assisted living. But the amenities as far as going when you want to go to the store, we have a bus that will take them on, I mean, they go to the casino, they go to the ocean, they go a lot of places that you would think, well, that should be for independent living, but it's assisted living. And so we try to touch on, you know, the 4 needs basically, your body, mind, soul, spirit, so that every area of a person's life is touched in some way, so that their mind is kept fresh. And the activities are adult activities. We even have happy hour on Fridays.
Whew. What do you serve in the happy hour?
Real stuff.
All right.
Seriously.
I'll have to come by for a visit.
Yes,
Yeah, so.
It's actually really fun. We have a gentleman, one of the residents, that is used to be a bartender, and so he knows exactly how much to pour of each thing so it doesn't get overdone, which is nice. But it makes it fun, and you see them socializing quite a bit because they can let their hair down and just be their self, you know, and these are their friends now. And it's really pretty awesome watching that, you know, and them being able to get out and go to the doctor if they want, or, you know, hop on the bus and go to Fred Meyer's. You know, it's all, you know, available to them. However they want to be, you know, as active or not.
So I imagine when somebody first comes to Gilman Park, the first thing you do is an assessment of what their needs are, and that probably crosses all their physical needs, their spiritual needs, their social needs.
Yes.
As well. Okay. Then you craft what, a plan from that?
Yes, a care plan.
Okay.
So basically, our executive director, Heather Lilly, goes out to meet the folks and their family right before they move in and assesses them. Within a month, another assessment is done, and normally a lot of those points come off because they've found friends, they've become more active. It's really like watching a flower bloom, and it's, I don't know, it's pretty awesome. I love that, you know, because it's like you get to see this person that came in a wheelchair, and there's a gentleman there that I actually took him on a tour with his daughter, and he was in a wheelchair, and now he's walking, his hair's combed, he looks all debonair, you know, and just really sharp. And it's because he's found people to connect with. You know?
So a question I have is when somebody moves from a home they may have lived in for 50 or 60 years, a family home, into a facility like Gilman Park, I imagine there's probably a bit of depression that goes along with that loss of independence.
Right.
How do you deal with that?
Well, a lot of times our nursing staff takes turns going in and visiting when they first come. And so nobody, like we have an RN, we have 2 LPNs, which is licensed practical nurses, and then we have our executive director who is also a licensed practical nurse. And so that staff goes in, and then the care staff stops in to see if there's any needs. So it's like they're meeting people constantly, so they're not just left by themselves. And we get to sit and talk to them. And I think one of the biggest things that helps the seniors is building that personal relationship with the care staff and the staff that is there at Gilman Park. And it actually gives them a chance to say, like I go in every morning and open curtains for one lady. It's not because it's part of my job, but it's really kind of cool. I've built that relationship with her, you know. But it's like, just having that ability to stop in and say, well, how are you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? Because they're kind of lost too. You know, when they first come in, I don't know what activities are going on. When is lunch? Do I even want lunch today? You know, and so there's a lot of decisions, although we like the choices, you know, and they like the choices, still yet sometimes it's overwhelming because it's like, I don't know what to do next. And so when we have our staff go in periodically, it kind of lifts them out of that. And then we invite the family to come and have dinner with them, you know, a few weeks out. I mean, you know,
So there's just an adjustment period that the vast majority of your residents get past and move into. Okay. So let me ask a question for our general public.
Yes.
Who may not be familiar with the assisted living industry, what are some of the emerging trends? What are people requesting and asking? What do they need? Teach me something new.
Well, one of the things is it's like the dining room is a huge deal. The food has to taste good. And it's like meat and potatoes and organic. Everything's homemade at Gilman Park. So you don't have to worry about processed foods, you know, and that's one thing. And another thing that our dining service does is give them choices again. It's not just this is your main course and that's the only choice you have. There's a whole gamut of things they can, if they're not that hungry or they want a salad, they can have a salad. If they want 2 or 3 side dishes, that's what they can have. So it's really kind of hones in on what they want, their desires, instead of this is what we want to serve you. And so that has really helped, I think, a lot. You know.
They're real foodies.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and some of them that are like, well, I don't really like to eat much. They've tried little bits of things, and they've gotten to where one of the ladies, she's 95, she said, I've gained weight since I moved here. I said, that's a good thing, you know, because it is. It's better for if they fall, any of that kind of stuff with a little bit of cushion. It takes care of them.
Maybe we'll get some food trucks in the city and bring them by Gilman Park.
That would be awesome.
So, a final question. Why did you get into this field? Is it some personal experience you've had?
Well, I'm the youngest of 7. And so I watched my father, who was a pastor and played the accordion, be placed in an adult foster home. He really needed to be in a community because he was a very outgoing person. He loved to make people laugh, you know. And so once this all took place, and my dad, I mean, you know, he lived to be 93, which was great. But I did a study on the senior population, and where living at home or living in a community where there's socialization and activities for the mind, spirit, body, actually gives them an extra 5 to 7 years on their life. It just gives them like like I said before, it's like a flower, watching a
Because
flower
actually,
bloom.
it's not just 5-7 years. Physically,
Yeah.
it's emotionally, it's
Right.
quality of life.
It
so,
is.
Right.
And watching some of them has just been amazing to me, just the change in them. And I think, you know, it helps us thrive because we're helping them thrive.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for joining us
Thank
tonight.
you.
If somebody wants to find out more about Gilman Park, where can they go? What's the website?
GilmanPark.com.
GilmanPark.com. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, as once again, you know, our society is aging. Facilities like Gilman Park are going to grow. You know, someday we might be there as well. So, as always, I'm Michael Brand. Let's get to work.